When I was younger, and I didn't understand this when I was 14 years old, and I think it was much younger. I wrote about it in the book that it was 14. I actually think it happened when I was younger. I just don't recollect those times. When I got really stressed or nervous, and most of the time they're around like tests or speaking stuff or in front of the class, I just started to get a tightness in my chest. I would get shortness of breath at times. I would sweat in my hands, and I didn't really understand what was happening. And I talked to my mom, and like a very traditional Korean mother, she would be like, just power through it. And I'd be like, okay, I'm just going to power through it, right? But she didn't know either what was happening. And I don't blame her around that. She just didn't understand in the moment. The reality is when you think about your mental health, it's not about just and it's not about powering through the moment. For me, it's about powering up, and that's where the battery analogy keeps coming back in.
Yeah.
And I didn't understand some of that. And then and then I didn't have the vocabulary. It wasn't really until I started getting into healthcare that I started to understand, oh, wow, this is what you were going through. You've been able to kind of manage it and through some unhealthy behaviors at times. And now you are doing it through healthy behaviors. But the vocabulary has changed, right? And you have a better command of that vocabulary. So you know how to talk about it now, where I didn't know how to talk about it then.
Yeah.
And so I do think so much of the population today is about powering through it. And I do think a lot of the population, and I would say more in countries like Korea or Asia, even though mental health is the most approachable it's ever been, like in the States, it's not really approachable there, and that does make me sad at times when I go back home. My parents moved back to Korea. They live there. I want to talk about these things with them. And it's not easy for them to talk about, right? I don't know how it was for you.
Yeah,
Did you talk about this when you were a kid with your...
It's so interesting what you were saying about your experiences of stress growing up. Mine were the same and they didn't know what it was either. So it's the same things, exams, anything high performance related. I'd feel like my chest got tighter. My heart felt like it wasn't beating the same. I'd get, sweaty palms. And I remember going to the doctors and they'd wire me up with these monitors, like old school monitors.
Yeah.
It's like these big things. I'd have to wear it for 24 hours. And I'd go back and they'd be like, oh, he's fine. And I'd be like, but mom, I'm not fine. Like there's something I'm feeling and there was no word for it. And so I can very much relate. And again, my mom didn't know what it was either. And she was trying her best to help, but we couldn't figure it out. And so I got on with it and I always have.